Revenge films.
My sister Michelle has a very severe wheat allergy, to the point where if she has anything contaminated with wheat, her life would be on the line. So my family has always been very careful when it came to our meals. Wheat is found in a lot more things than you might expect. So everything like commercial curry paste, dumpling skins, processed meats, noodles were all out of the question. Anytime we would neglect to read the ingredients list carefully, my sister's face would blow up bright red like a tomato. Depending on the amount, her entire body might turn red, and her throat would swell up, and she would not be able to breathe. One day, my sister told us that she got a boyfriend. I had met him once before too, and he seemed really nice, a very manly man. Most importantly, he seemed to understand my sister's allergy and was very sensitive to her needs. My sister and her boyfriend had a steady relationship for a year, and things were becoming serious as marriage was becoming a part of the conversation. One day, he came to our house to meet our parents.
I would like to ask for your permission and blessing to marry your daughter Michelle. I promise to make her happy.
Our daughter is at the age where we'd love for her to get married. For her to have found such a wonderful partner like you, we couldn't be more grateful. But, well, you know, honey.
Yes, our daughter's wheat allergy requires so much care that any small oversight can really cost her her life. You have to pay close attention to the smallest of details, and it can be hard to go out to eat too. You may suffer as a result of this, so are you really sure that you're happy to take care of her and are able to make the sacrifices needed?
Of course! As long as she's my wife, I will put my life on the line protecting Michelle and keeping her safe.
In that case, it may cause you some difficulty in the future, but we look forward to welcoming you into our family.
And my parents gladly approved of my sister's marriage. 1 week later during the weekend, the two of them went to her boyfriend's house next to give them the news of the marriage. Her boyfriend had bragged about his mother's cooking for a long time, so she was really looking forward to meeting them and going to their house. They drove for some time and arrived in a very rural place. It was covered in acres and acres of glistening golden wheat fields. At that point, my sister had apparently already started showing symptoms of her wheat allergy, but the symptoms were far less severe than when she ingested, so she powered through and they arrived at his parents' house. However, shortly after the introductions, his mother said something outrageous.
This rural era is really putting their strength in developing wheat right now. Domestically produced wheat has been getting a lot of attention lately, and there are orders flying in from other states all across the country.
Did you say wheat?
Yes, and I've also been making bread using this homegrown wheat, and a lot of stores are starting to carry it too. That's why I would love for you to please try out the most popular bread and our newest products of bread too, Michelle.
Bread? I'm very, very grateful for the offer, but I'm afraid I'm allergic to wheat and…
My sister panicked and apologized as she declined the offer, but…
Oh, one bite won't hurt, right?
And they wouldn't back down.
No, even one bite will kill me.
She tried to explain, but…
How can you say something like that? As if I'm trying to poison you. I'm not even an evil mother-in-law.
And she started tearing up. Then the father chimed in.
Michelle, don't worry. The bread has been baked and so there shouldn't be any issues.
It was clear that they were not understanding, and Michelle didn't know what to do. They must have thought that as long as it's baked, the wheat allergy no longer exists.
You see? Even if it's been baked or cooked, a wheat allergy will cause a reaction regardless.
She was doing her best, but…
Hey now, Michelle! You're 25 years old already. You shouldn't be such a picky eater. You keep saying you have an allergy, but you're just saying that because you don't want to eat it, right? I'm telling you that the bread that my wife makes is really delicious, so please, why don't you just try a little? Seriously, do you think my mom is trying to kill you or something? She wouldn't do something so movie dramatic like that.
My sister was pressured from all sides, with the father and brother really pushing. She didn't know what to do and looked to her boyfriend for help. Without a word against his brother or father, her boyfriend just said,
Look, I'm sorry. Can you just bear with us this one time and eat it? You know, angering my mom wouldn't be in your favor either, right?
He said in a small voice to her. My sister realized that the narrative had changed. They were accusing her boyfriend's mother of having evil intentions and trying to poison her, and that they were looking at her as just a spoiled picky eater. Even during this conversation, there was wheat flying around the house, and my sister's skin was already turning red and itchy. Her throat was already becoming itchy too, and if she were to stay there any longer, it was only a matter of time before she would go into anaphylactic shock. Her face went pale, and she got up and said,
I need to go home,
and grabbed her bag to leave.
How awful! I wanted to get along with you, Michelle, and that's why I put so much effort into making this bread.
And his mother started sobbing on the spot. The brother and the father sat there, glaring at my sister resentfully, but the mother, who was crying hysterically, didn't seem to have a single tear falling from her face. Suddenly, her boyfriend grabbed my sister's arm, refusing to let her leave.
Michelle, cut it out with the childishness. All you have to do is have one bite and that's it, you know? Just come here and try a bite of this. Here! If you can't eat it, we're breaking up!
He had my sister pinned in one hand and a piece of bread in the other, as he forced the bread into her mouth. My sister's mouth immediately swelled up into a balloon.
I don't want to die in a place like this.
This ran through my sister's mind as she kicked off her boyfriend, spat out the bread, and made a run for it.
We can pretend like this never happened,
she said, and ran out of the house without even putting her shoes on. Not only did her boyfriend not come chasing after her, he came outside and yelled,
"Stop with this foolishness! You'll never even get a taxi around here!"
On the other hand, her brother came chasing after her at full speed. The brother started off with speed, but my sister was running as her life depended on it, and when he wasn't able to catch up, he eventually gave up. My sister ran and ran until she saw some kind of light, and she was able to fall into a taxi that was stopped at the convenience store and finally made it home. Inside of the taxi, my sister was sobbing, and the taxi driver was so worried about her that he accompanied her all the way to our door. My sister was in shambles by the way she arrived home. Her face and body were bright red from her allergy. Her face was a disaster from crying so much. Her hair was all over the place, and since she ran barefoot, she was covered in dirt and grass.
What did they do to you?
My family was livid. My sister explained what had happened through her tears, and it tipped us all over the edge. It would be one thing that if they tried to feed it to her without knowing, but this was straight up attempted murder. My sister's phone was already flooded by texts and missed calls from her boyfriend.
If we get married, you would need to move into my parents' house and help my mother bake bread for the family business. That's why I just wanted you to help you get over your wheat allergy, that's all.
Since when was it decided that my sister would move in with her boyfriend's family? Just as our family was looking back through all the messages, her cell phone rang again, and my dad answered the phone. Apparently, the boyfriend didn't realize that my father was the one who picked up the phone, and I could hear him yelling on the other end while my dad remained silent.
Hey, Michelle, are you even listening? How about you try responding for once if you're there?
Her boyfriend kept yelling, so my dad finally broke his silence and quietly replied,
It seems like you were trying to kill my daughter. Isn't that right?
He said in an ice-cold tone. There was a brief pause as my sister's boyfriend seemed to realize that it was not in fact Michelle who had answered the phone, followed by a long silence.
Was your mother's mood more important than my daughter's life? Don't you dare come anywhere near my daughter ever again, you murderer!
He then passed the phone to my mom.
If you try to come anywhere near my daughter again, I promise you'll regret it. Do you understand me?
And without another word from the other side, we heard the phone line cut out.
Ugh!
My mom angrily let out of her mouth,
That bastard hung up! Are you kidding me?
and immediately dialed him back. No matter how many times she tried calling, he didn't answer the phone, but after she rang over and over again, around the 20th time, he finally picked up. From there, my mom and dad went full blast on him. My boyfriend switched roles and tried to play the damsel in distress, asking for my sister to come back to him, but her boyfriend had become a symbol of trauma to her, and my sister refused. Her boyfriend tried to complain about the situation to his colleagues and friends and make my sister out to be the bad guy, but of course, nobody took his side. And instead, everybody was shocked and took their distance from him. The rumor got around to his boss, who has a daughter with an allergy, and apparently he was lectured for hours on end by him. However, instead of taking responsibility or showing any regret, the boyfriend got angry in return and quit his job on the spot. Nobody tried to stop him, so he became unemployed and went back to his parents' house. Just one time after that, the boyfriend's mom called my house.
It's only because I didn't know. Please forgive my son.
And was crying on the phone to my mom, but my mom replied,
A woman's fake cry will never work on another woman.
she said, and hung up the phone on her. To make matters worse for them, the taxi driver that helped my sister had also been spreading the story, and her boyfriend's family was labeled a family of murderers by everyone in their small rural town. Of course, that meant that the bread that his mother was making also got bad ratings, and not only did everybody stop buying them, but the shops that had been selling it canceled all of their orders. Her boyfriend tried to start a new venture of cultivating wheat on his own, but nobody would sell him the land, and he still remains unemployed. The younger brother was working at a wheat processing factory, but all of his colleagues also heard about the story and shunned him, causing him to quit. I heard he hasn't left the house since. The father was apparently working at a government office, and he received a stern warning from his boss, and also had the residents talking about him everywhere he went. No matter how ostracized he was, no one else in his family was able to get a job, so he had no choice but to continue working. But, you know, they try to take somebody's life. I think they're getting exactly what they deserve.
How was today's video? If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Stay tuned for more.